Hello. Hey, Hannes.
Hi, Fabian. So we are here to discuss, to go through what we are planning to achieve for the database team for GitLab 13.7 release, which is going to be released to be available on December 22nd. We're discussing our plans for the database team. The database team at GitLab is responsible for anything that touches the database from a code perspective. So we want to make the application GitLab more efficient with respect to the database. And we have a couple of priorities to discuss. Let me share my screen. So 13.7 is during 13.7 we are going to do a lot of maintenance tasks. So our planned issues are more of supporting our operations. So first of all, we want to work a little bit on database schema validation. Which is important. We have seen that there are discrepancies between what we ship with GitLab and long-run installations. The most long-run installation is GitLab.com, and this is something we have experienced ourselves. So we want to add database schema validation and make sure that whatever we want to ship with GitLab is also what we have in the database server, and fix all the issues. That will help with GitLab.com, but also will help with long-running instances that may have discrepancies, like, for example, a failed migration that was repeated, may have left some indexes there. We want to fix those. And our first thing to address is to correct all index differences between production and structure.sql. So figure out if we're missing some indexes and add them. The second part is database partitioning. Database partitioning is our long-running effort. So in the next release, we're going to finalize the audit events partitioning, which is almost done. So what is missing are swapping. So already the partitioning of the audit events table has been done, and we are currently working with the existing table. So what is missing is switching the existing non-partition table with the partition and start working with the partitions and speeding up the application. So this is something that will be released with 13.7. And then it's our next step is working on the events table. So the events table is one of the largest tables we have at GitLab, and it's growing a lot. So we want to address that. So we will start our effort of planning and starting the migrations for partitioning the events table. The events table is a little bit more complicated than the audit events table because it has foreign keys and some other constructs that make partitioning more complicated. So this is what we want to focus on 13.7. And then there is our effort of testing with production data. This is pure on the GitLab side, and this will help us work through various problems we have seen, especially not allow migrations to reach production and fail. So, for example, at our scale, you can test with various data sets, but if you don't, we want to be able to test against production data, a production replica, so that we are sure that going forward, we will have no incidents while deploying to production, and that will affect the status of GitLab.com for sure. So we want zero downtime due to a migration that takes more time than it will need, or a query reaching production and taking 3 seconds instead of 100 milliseconds to run. So on that front, we have 3 different phases. In 30.7, what we are interested into is to set up our infrastructure to be able to test with production data. We will start with setting up a single server that the database team will be able to test against production data, then extend that to a server for all database maintainers inside the GitLab, and then start researching options on automating that so that our end goal at some point will be to be able to fully test all data, updates that touch the database against production data. And another issue, another maintenance issue, which is pretty important, is we want to also address the primary key overflow risk for tables that have an integer primary key. So for very large instances, including GitLab.com, which is the largest one, we have a lot of tables that use as a primary key an integer 4 that has a limit of 2 billion and something records. So if you reach that, it's like you cannot add anything to those tables. So we have an ongoing effort of converting all those primary keys from integer to integer 8 to 8-byte integers that will allow us to scale. So here we track, and we're going to address that. So the first thing we want to do, we have time for that. So the first thing we want to do is to add metrics and start monitoring how those tables grow, and then at some point start fixing those integers and making them integer 8s. And finally, we want to enable for enabling logical replication, which is also pretty much important. We have two final steps. Logical replication requires all tables to have a primary key because it's used as the replication identity. So we have two remaining issues to address. There are 3 tables that we want to add primary keys for them. So all tables in the database, in the GitLab database, have primary keys, and we can enable logical replication. So that's what we are working on in the database team. Thank you so much, and see you next month.
Thank you.